Hello, it is me, MrSneakyy, with another video today, and it is the legendary artifacts that's going to be covered. So if you are just checking it out for the first time and you're looking for epics, go and check the yesterday's video, and I hope you enjoyed today's. So as you can see, today is all the legendary artifacts that I'm going to go over, just the same as yesterday. So if you like that type of style video, I hope you enjoy this one again. So we're going through obviously all the artifacts that you can see on screen. So if you're looking during the tier list and you're wondering what artifact I'm talking about and what the effects are, just come back to this start here and you'll be able to check them out yourselves and understand what I'm talking about, what are the ratios and what are the actual abilities themselves. So this one is all the legendaries, right? If you're looking for the epics and the rare guide, I've already done that. Just check that video out yesterday, or check the one out prior, should I say, and you'll be able to get all of your info for the epics. And then I'm going to be doing a part 3, which is going to be covering both together, but without all the obviously the beginning part like I'm doing here. It's just going to be flat out tier list, so you can see where everything stacks against each other. Okay, so the thing with this guide, as I hope you guys get to realize, it's all about the open field competitiveness, as well as if the artifact themselves can be used in raids as well as the open field, you know, the flexibility of them and how good are they, right? Because the thing with legendary ones, they are costing you more obviously XP to pump into. Obviously the stars are harder to obtain, so you want to make sure you're leveling up the right ones at the start and not, you know, just pumping random stars and leveling up the wrong ones. So I hope you guys enjoyed that aspect and that of the explanation. Obviously, I'm trying to tailor this to the free-to-play players that are watching the video. I know you guys are trying to understand what to do with, you know, the new servers and what to go for. But obviously, these are what I think, and these are all my opinions on the artifacts. Just remember that. For free-to-play players, I think you guys should probably follow this guide as close as you can. If you're a low spender as well, if you're more of a big whale, you don't really need to worry too hard on what you're maxing, because you're going to be able to max them all out at some point anyway, and you're going to have fun using a lot of the artifacts in the game. Because the thing is, what you'll notice, these artifacts are quite powerful, they're very fun to use. So I hope you enjoy it. Smash your like, comment and subscribe on the video before we get fully into all the explanations and the tier list breakdown. I just need to put that in there before we get into it, because it is going to be a longer video. I know it's going to be a long one, because there's going to be a lot to cover, a lot of explanations and understandings why these are in this order for me. So I'm going to let the video play out. There's only a few left to play out, just so if you're looking for, you know, specific artifacts or you're looking for specific points, I'm going to be obviously trying to stick to the table in the ordering as it comes, but you'll see whatever tier list pictures comes, just go back and find it on here. As you see, I go through it in a pretty fair order, in a pretty fair way. So I hope you enjoy it. Stay tuned for the full tier list that's coming very soon. And without everything out of the way, I hope you enjoyed the video. Stay tuned for more guides for Call of Dragons. This is raids, heroes, the artifacts, events, everything you need to know. Obviously, it's going to be here first on MrSneakyy's channel. I hope you enjoy my content. I know these videos are a lot longer than my normal videos, but as you know, I'm here to give you no BS, straight answers, and all the information you're going to need. So I hope you enjoy it, and I'll catch you guys as soon as the tier list starts. So with all the ruling out of the way, here we go. This is the tier list part of the video that you guys love. So we're going to go straight into the MrSneakyy. The MrSneakyy is the mage specific DPS of choice. It is definitely S, possibly S plus. I believe it's S. There's a couple of that are definitely S plus in regards to their use, but this is definitely S. You can argue S plus if you want it in the comment section, but I just feel like having just pure AoE damage is not just enough, because there's a couple of things that can do AoE damage as well as more. So for me, this is in the S category for the DPS legendaries. It is amazing that altogether, don't get me wrong, it gives you a 4k AoE, you know, 5-man circle that you put down, but it's a delayed circle. It gives you 19.8% and magic unit attack and 6.5% legion attack, so it is kind of nuts in the stats it does provide, and it is a pure nuking. It is the best in slot mage for like PvPing as well. If you're going to go for the raids, everyone uses the MrSneakyy to do the most damage as they can, because it is the best damaging ability for the mage in the game. It just isn't almost the best in the game, because there's a couple, like I said, that are just a bit superior. But it's a very strong choice. If you went mages and you went MrSneakyy, it's no harm, you know. I'm gonna try it on mine. I'm gonna start on a free-to-play series, and I'm even gonna be rocking MrSneakyy and trying to use it as much as I can when I get it. So the next one we're going into is Kingslayer. Kingslayer is the cavalry PvP one. It gives you again a 3600 damaging art that hits 5 enemies, and it also gives you the ability that if they are 10% or lower, it gives you big amounts of damage that just instantly kills them, as it says if in the video prior. It's just an execute at 10%. If you're going to execute some at 10%, hopefully it finishes off, you know, them before they hit a skill cycle. But in general purpose, it's a decent ability. I would rock this in the A category for the cavalry. You could argue possibly S, but for me it is definitely in the A category. It is insanely good, but you don't really get to see the execute too much. It has probably one of the best though animations in the game. Remember to check out the beginning part of the video just to see the animations in the top right corner of all of these. But yeah, it's a good cavalry attack. It's decent. I think the cavalry don't have the greatest. They have some decent abilities, but they don't have the best, right? So I'm going to just keep kind of short and sweet. The cavalry needs a bit more loving. Maybe the cavalry mains in the comments are going to hate on me for saying it, but you know, it is what it is. I just think the other units have some better choices in their arsenal. So now we have the Breath of Gigantis. Breath of Gigantis is a pretty insane ability for open field combat. Again, I'm going to put this in the A category just because for mage users it's insanely good. For support players, if you're playing that role where you're going to rock Indis with Alwyn and just try and be as supportive as possible, having the acid breath ability on the Breath of Gigantis is just insane. It allows you to put an AoE field that breaks up to 10 enemy legions by 32% for 20 seconds, which is an insane amount of AoE. And maybe in the future the meta shifts and this might actually increase into S tier or maybe S plus. You know, it is an insane ability to run. It is very game changing in the open field, but at the moment it's just not what the meta dictates. The meta is all about kind of big damage with utility on top of it, which gives you the most benefits. So I hope you guys just realize that when it comes to the open field combat, you know, system of the game. If you're looking for, you know, what to invest into, obviously when you look at the end of the video you'll see. But for me, this is a very good choice if you wanted to try and be a support player. If you're going to be a support player, this should be in your arsenal as one of the supportive choices with mages. It's a very good thing to probably use as a free-to-play player, because if you think about it in the free-to-play player realm, the free-to-play players, you guys might not be able to fight on toe-to-toe, you know, with obviously some spenders and some of the whale players. So the way you can help on the alliance and how you can help in the open field is obviously providing buffs and helping your alliance in some other way, and there's many ways of doing that, and this is just one of them. So this is why I think this is actually a really good artifact, one that shouldn't be slept on, and I think you guys will enjoy when you actually see it in action in the future. So next we got Storm Arrows. Storm Arrows is the teleport ability with giving the cavalry a rampaging effect that increases their damage dealt by 24%. It's a cool effect, but for me, we don't really see it used in the open field. We just kind of see it used, you know, as a gimmick. I wouldn't even really prioritize that much, but the fact that you do get a damage boost makes it very desirable, and it's okay, and that's why it's in the B tier. It's not trash, it's not, you know, terrible, but it's really good to try and catch some units out for the cavalry, you know, abilities. Like I say, Kingslayer is kind of better in all regards. This just kind of gives you the ability to close down your enemies with the Storm Arrows. You get 19.8% attack and 6.5% legion attack, so you get a decent amount of attack stats, but again, the ability itself isn't too game changing, and I wouldn't, like, you know, go crazy over it. That's why for me it's only in B tier in this current state of the game. So now you got Springbird's Feather. Springbird's Feather for me is, I know some whales are gonna hate me for putting it here, but for me it's a C tier. It's very good if you have it. If you do have it, it's only used for very specific and niche scenarios. Again, like Necro Giant layer raids, you can use this and give your whole alliance free movement speed to dodge a lot of the abilities. So you do help in that realm, and it's good supportive in that way. But it's not something that you should be investing, you know, your XP into. It's not something you should be trying to prioritize. It's just not that type of meta currently. It's just sitting down here as a utility based thing. Just don't get me wrong, this is still better than a lot of the rares and epics, just because again the amount of movement speed you get from this is insane, and the friendly, you know, yourself plus the friendlies, it's just insane. The cooldown is on a 1 minute 30. There's no rage cost, so you can just trigger it. That's why it's pretty good as well. So it's just C, you know, it's nothing crazy to go over. But now we're going to go into some of the, what I think is one of the best abilities in the game, and that's for infantry as well, and that is the Grey Mars Warhammer. Grey Mars Warhammer for me is definitely S, but it's definitely S+, and I'm just going to say it now. For me, it's S+ for infantry players. This ability in the game's actually insane for infantry players. It's good for anyone who does unlock it as well for free to play, because when you do have it even at level 1, in Dragon Trials, the campaign mission, having your frontline unit with this on allows you to just cheese through a lot of the content by just stunning a lot of the stuff. And in the open field, it's even more stronger, because obviously at max rank, it's a 3200 damage factor. It AoE and hits up to 5 enemies, and it gives them a stun for 2 seconds. So the fact that it's a 2-second CC, and it does 3200 damage, which scales with your physical attack, and it's an infantry option, it's actually one of the best in the game. It is an insane item to run for infantry players. You can block a lot of things if you're watching like cavalry players also, you know, like try to run past you. You can hit this and stun them and then catch them out guard and intercept them. The use and the amount of damage I've seen and the amount of people who use this is absolutely nuts, especially in murder ball situations in the open field. Like I said, this is definitely S+. It's definitely one of the best abilities in the game. And then we get to the armor, the breastplate armor, and the breastplate armor for me, I'm going to put at the top of A tier. You could almost argue S+, or S, should I say, but for me it's going to be A tier, just because I think it is the best A tier item in the game. Again, it's one of the best defensive options for infantry, if not the best defensive option you can pick, which isn't like main tank role. And why, you ask? It's because again, it's an AoE effect that allows you to put up to 5 friendly legions. You get 3200 shield factor, which now is absorbed by PvE content and PvP content, so in the open field, compared to like like the Codex, the epic one, that just does not do that job, but this one does. Also, when you do activate this, those units that have the shield on get a 10% physical attack increase for 5 seconds. So again, this is a very good buff. It gives you utility in the form of a, you know, AoE friendly team buff and a AoE friendly shield. That's why I think it's one of the best infantry things you could pick in the game. If you go and prioritize it, it would not be a bad option. It would be one of the best you can pick. It is just quite insane for, like, you know, the usage for Dragon Trials, again, for shielding your front line and sometimes your back line and giving them that boost. So for me, again, never lose count on this. This is one of the coolest and one of my favorite artifacts in the game. You can prioritize picking it if you want. Just know that the hammer is a lot, in my eyes, a lot better. But this is my view. Again, this is my opinion. You can obviously choose what you guys want to max out, but this is the ruling for me. I'm going to go for A tier for the breastplate or the dragon scale armor. It is a fantastic bit of artifact gear. So now you have Shadow Blades, and Shadow Blades for me is gonna probably again cause some controversial opinions. Shadow Blades is one of the funnest and most amazing artifacts you can run for archers. It gives you a 3600 damage factor that hits up to 5 enemies in a rectangular. Obviously it reduces damage by 50% by each target, but obviously it increases with physical. The thing is, this for me is S tier. It is just as good as the Phoenix Eye. It's quite insane the amount of damage you do, as well as it amplifies its own damage because of the physical attack buff you get. The cooldown factor is only 1:30, which is almost a standard on most of these artifacts, and it's only a 1200 rage factor. It is very good. You can use it in PvP, you can use it in raids. Both are very good. That's why it's probably one of the most versatile archer artifacts you can get. It's also one of the first archer artifacts that was in the game, so it is really good to run. And obviously if you put all your XP into it, don't hate. It is one of the best things. For me, it is really good. The amount of damage you get to pump out, it synergizes perfectly with Nico or Craig or Guanwin. If you're a whale and you have Hosk, it's really good with Hosk in those matchups as well. So for me, it has to be S tier for Shadow Blades. It is one of the most exceptional DPS options you can pick. It's really good. There's no time delay either. In my eyes, it is stronger than the Phoenix Eye, even though the Phoenix Eye does more damage and it is on a bigger AoE. It is a timed AoE, so in theory sometimes can dodge it in the open field. So just to put that in perspective. But for me, the Archer one is so goddamn good. So on to the next, and this is Solan's Blade. And Solan's Blade is used everywhere, and I mean everywhere, and you'll understand why very soon. It could also be considered S+. I'm gonna slap it in S and we'll see at the end. Basically, it's a 1:30 cooldown with a 600 rage cost, so it's half the amount of rage needed compared to any of the other artifacts you've seen so far. It does up to 2 units, and you do a 3200 skill factor, which is insane. But at the same time, it increases the Legion's haste by 20%, giving them march speed, by 20%, so for 10 seconds. So the thing is with this item, and this is why a lot of people roll, what I've noticed, a lot of people prefer the Solan's Blade over the King's, is because the fact that you can go into combat, get it up really quickly, shotgun blast 2 units, and because you get the movement speed buff, you can just dip, you can run away, and by running away, no one can really chase you down. You get out of range of the mages, so if the mages aren't paying attention, they'll start obviously walking towards your allies, and then they'll get killed within the murder ball. A lot of people, even though you could argue that the Kingslayer is the better artifact in damage proportion, the fact that in this game we're all about hit and running and really fast combat and trying to get in and out just shows why Solan's Blade is actually a really premium item. If you guys are looking for a cavalry choice, you can pick one or the other. I'm not, it's up to you. But for me, I really do enjoy Solan's Blade compared to Kingslayer. It just gives you a lot of escapability which you wouldn't expect it to provide. So it's very good on the open field, and it's very good in PvE content as well. So just to take that into note, right? So on to the next artifact, it is the Karata's Wrath. So the Karata's Wrath, I'm going to put down in C tier. It's okay, it's nothing to, you know, rage on about. You don't have to rush any XP into it. It is one thing you first ever get, so if you're looking as a spender, you do get the option to purchase this. You don't need to, you can, it just basically helps the early game. All it does is grant you some peacekeeping damage and legion attack, but when you activate the effect with no rage cost, it grants up to 10 friendly legions up to 40% increased damage to darklings and dark creatures, so you can kill your patrols and you can kill those dark creatures next to the dark chests a lot easier, so you can kill through the early game a lot faster. So with this plus the giant axe, the epic giant axe, with both of these combined, you should be able to get through, you know, the early game content, even if it's still a level 1 skilled, not maxed out Karata's Wrath. It is good enough how it is. You shouldn't really obviously be putting any of your XP into it, so I would not. So that is Karata's Wrath, nothing, you know, insane. I'm sorry everyone who likes this item, it's just not one on the list for, you know, priorities. So now you have Springs of Silence. This is a very exceptional ability. It is a AoE effect for infantry. You deal up to 3 enemies that you choose. That's an arc. It's a 3200 damage factor, very similar to, as you can see, this up here, the Solan's Blade, but instead it also puts a slow on those damaging marchers by 20%, and this is why, for me, even though it's not seen too much play yet, for me it is an S tier option. Solan's Blade and the Silence of, the Springs of Silence are both the opposite of each other. So if you want to be the aggressive option and you want to be able to get in and out of combat, you want Solan's Blade and you want to play cavalry. But if you want to be able to punish people that are trying to catch into you by doing a big amount of damage and putting a slow, this is the option for you, and it is a very good open field combat artifact. People are sleeping on it, and I'm gonna say that now, people are sleeping on it. You get 19.8% infantry unit attack and you get 6.5% legion attack. It's not the greatest buff. I would prefer something else, maybe defense, but the effect itself is so powerful on the open field. It allows you to chase down targets that's not going to be out of reach now because you're putting the slowdown. Plus, you're hitting 3 targets, not 2, compared to Solan's Blade. So again, one of the best options you can pick for infantry AoE fighting. It is just not as good as obviously the stun, because obviously stun's better than a slow, and that's why the Warhammer is S+, but the what I call the daggers are S. But I hope you understand that. Like, it's hard to comprehend at first, but when you start playing in the open field, you'll start to realize that a lot of the time, all the people are using are AoE effects with some sort of utility, because you need that utility to start winning fights. Raw damage doesn't just win a fight, unfortunately, in this game, which is, it's good because obviously it puts dynamics and it puts a lot more different shapes on how open field should be conducted, right? So without rambling too on, we're going to go into the next one. This is Lucia's Horn. It is the gathering artifact. It's okay, it's nothing to rush on about. However, it is C. I'll put it at the top of C tier. It's really good for the fact that it allows you to just teleport to a node, and obviously it creates the load, or it finds the best load for you. It gives you a level 7 when you max up, it's a level 7 node it creates, then your unit goes to it, and obviously you can always farm consistently, and that's the best thing about it. So the Gathering Sickle, in my eyes, the epic Gathering Sickle is better than Lucia's Horn, because you can use it anywhere and it's fast and it gives you really fast gains. but Lucy's Horn allows you to summon better tiles if you don't obviously have good tiles around. So you don't have to rush XP into it. Don't put any XP into it, really. That's why it's in the C tier. It's just, if you have it, don't feel down. It has its purpose. It's just not combat ready, basically. And that's kind of the same with the next one, which is the Ancient Tree Roots. Ancient Tree Roots just basically allows you to teleport from wherever your march is currently to a unmanned max tile. I will put this at the very bottom of C tier. I think this is actually, it's okay if you really want to get into, you know, a jiffy, you want to get into a farming mode really fast. However, it's just, at the moment, it's not great. You don't really need to prioritize putting XP into it. It's just not worth the amount of effort and XP again. So just ignore this. If you have it, it's fine. It's not end of the world, but it's just down here. So now you have Tear of Arbon, and Tear of Arbon is a very powerful and a very good ability, and for me it is also in the S tier. It is very strong. It's better than the Breath of Yargus, because in this game healing is very strong, and healing and shielding is very strong, shall I say. And the fact that you can now put down a AoE heal, it's a massive AoE heal that's for 8 seconds long, 800 damage healing factor, shall I say. It affects up to 4 legions. In raids this is used all the time, in the open field for supportive use it's always used all the time. It's so good to provide, even if you're a free-to-play player, the fact that you can provide AoE healing to the front line while staying back is so good, because it means your infantry units at the front can survive longer, allowing your DPS obviously to deal more damage, right? So it's a really good and powerful artifact. You can, again, if you choose to be a support player, this is one of the best options to pick. You should max this out over the other staff of healing, which is the single target, just because you're doing less healing with the single target than you are with this AoE healing. So just to put that into perspective, it's just so strong. I would definitely put this, if we're going to keep these in rank order, I'd put this in how it is currently. Shadowblade at the top tier, Phoenix, Solans, and then the Silent Daggers at the bottom. And we're almost at the end, we're getting towards it. We have the Fangs of Ashkari. These are some of the newer ones. This is a magic ability that allows you to put an AoE Fawns effect around. For me, it's going to be in the B tier. We don't really see it used that often currently. It's not got maybe a hero pairing that can utilize its effectors enough. But the way you want to use it, if you're wondering what it is, it's if you're noticing you're getting flanked a lot by cavalry or infantry, if they somehow get into your magic units, you put a big AoE field around you that absolutely melts people when they're standing it. So it basically pushes them off you, hopefully, and if they don't, obviously they should die all the time. But as I say, it's not really used in the open field. It's not really got any sort of special niches at the moment. You don't even really see it used in raids at all, because there's just better options in DPS choice. So it's one that if you get it, unfortunately, I just kind of ignore it. You could avoid it and put it in the C tier, but I'm going to put it in the B tier because it is got some sort of effectiveness. It's just not the greatest combat effectiveness, right? So now we have the two that are going to be very, very questionable, but these are going to be S plus each, and I'm going to put both of them together, and I'm going to explain both of them why they're S pluses currently. And that is because these two artifacts are the Garrison and Rally effect artifacts. So if you guys don't know, all the artifacts in the game prior to these two that got introduced recently can only be used in the open field combat. So when you're in a rally and you're fighting in a rally, your artifact cannot be activated. It's just the way these ones work. However, if you're a garrison leader or a rally leader and you're rocking either the Bloodblade banner, or if you're running the Breath of the Forest, if you're a garrison leader, these are two artifacts now that you can activate during the rally or during the garrisoning of the effect, and it's the first of a kind in the game, and this is why they're going to be very powerful. These are S plus in my eyes, because if you don't have these and you're a rally leader, or if you're a garrison leader and you're going against someone that does have these, you will get rolled every single time. And it's just the amount of healing and the amount of damage these provide to the rally or to the garrison is just absurd. The thing is, just to reiterate, these two artifacts are for rally and garrison leaders. These are not for free-to-play players. These are for the whales and the spenders only. I am still going to put these in the S+, just because it is just so strong, the effect that they have. However, obviously in the future there might be some more garrison and rally effects that might get added to the game, and if they get added to the game, these will eventually maybe get dropped down, or they might stay where they are, you know, who knows. So now we're getting to the last 3 artifacts. These are some of the artifacts that did get released in patch, I think it was patch 1.10, just before 1.11, and it is the Heart of Kamasi. This is slowly becoming one of my favourite artifacts for marksman. I'm going to put this in the A tier though. I'll put it near the top, not to the max. It's a very powerful effect. It's a AoE effect that affects 3 friendly legions, and those 3 friendly legions gain onslaught for 10 seconds, which increases their physical attack by 30%. And it increases their normal attack damage dealt by 30%. And because of this buff, it's a 60% worth of stats that you get, and you get 19.8% magic marksman units. It's a marksman artifact. The amount of buffs that you get, you're giving obviously 60% stats to 3 units. It's a massive amount of stats that you give. It's really powerful in the open field when people are using Nikos and Guanwins, or Nikos and Hosks. You're amplifying as a supportive archer hero basically with this, and you're empowering them and yourself to dealing more damage and abusing Nico's attack speed triggers. So for me, it's A tier. It's a very strong effect. It's not better than Shadow Blades, and it's not better than the Viola's bow that you're going to see soon, and it's not better than some of the others above, but it's a very good effect. It's very notable. It's a very strong and solid choice to use if you're looking for a supportive archer that can be used in open field. And the beauty of it, it can be used as a raid buff, right? You can buff 3 units in the raids to help kill and DPS the behemoths faster. So for me, it's definitely an A tier. It's very strong, it's very powerful, and it's very, very good. So don't hate it. Just start using it if you've never used it, right? Now we have Staff of the Prophet. Staff of the Prophet is, for me, a very weird one. I'm going to put this down into B tier as well. This B tier it's okay, as you see. It's a teleporting effect, very similar to the Storm of Arrows. However, this takes so long to charge up. But the difference is you and 6 legions that are near around surrounding you all teleport from the location you're at to the location of your choice. It has a decent range, but it has an 8-hour cooldown, so just know once you use this, you're in and you're in, right? We don't really see this used that much, but maybe in the future, if there's like Ark of Osiris or some sort of effect like that, maybe people will use this to try and teleport from, like, you know, the left flank into the middle to try and capture the Ark, for example, or some sort of, you know, game mode in that regard. Then it might be used, and then, you know, in those game modes, these ratings are going to be completely different. But for me right now, in the open field and how the game currently runs, this is B tier. It's almost C tier, because to be honest, at least the Storm Arrows gives you a buff. This just gives you a massive teleport, and that's it. It doesn't buff you at all. It just charges up after 15 seconds and then you appear. I can actually quite comfortable leaving it in C tier now. It's kind of terrible. And now we hit Viola's bow, and for me, Viola's bow is top tier. It is top tier. It's so strong for an artifact to put in. So the way Viola's bow works is you lose basically 200 damage, just 200 damage, compared to the Shadow Blades that are in the game. But for losing 200 damage, you get a utility effect that's so much more superior. That's insane. So you do 3200 to 5 targets, and you get to aim this. It's not just a tap and target effect like the Shadow Blades is. This allows you to choose and aim this rectangular effect instead, which is very powerful to do. Also, when you fire it, it seals damaged legions, leaving them unable to cast artifact skills for 10 seconds. And oh boy, that's so powerful. In the open field, being able to delay any of these artifacts that you're seeing on screen for 10 seconds from being used could be the difference from winning or losing an open field fight, right? So this is why, for me, the more and more I'm using it, the more and more I'm falling in love with it. Viola's bow is an absolute powerhouse of a artifact. It also, just to sell it even more, it gives you 16.8% marksman unit HP, which is the best stat you want having, which is health, and it gives you another 5.5% legion HP when you max it out at 4 stars. So it's just absolute absurd. So I hope you enjoyed it. That's all of them covered, all the artifacts done, all the epics. If you're looking for the epics and rares, check out the other video that I brought out yesterday, and that will cover all the epics together. I'm going to do another video that's going to combine all of them together now, but obviously it's going to skip all the video sections that these videos have, because I'm hoping you guys have watched, you know, the first and second part of these videos and enjoyed seeing what each of these do, right? So if you like these type of videos, you like these type of tier lists, and love these understandings and explanations that I provide, smash a like, comment and subscribe. It's you guys that are obviously supporting me and keeping the channel alive and getting me going up to 1,000 subs, which I'm loving. So stay tuned for more guides, more tier lists and more action videos, and hopefully future content that you guys are going to enjoy. So that is me, MrSneakyy. The tier list is complete for so far for patch 1.1, if you want to call it, in season 1.5 of the game, and this is the current state. So see you guys soon, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.